Hello. Thanks everyone for being here. The regular scheduled board meeting of the Hoover Board of Education will be brought in tonight. If you would you join me in a moment of silent prayer? Please remember that we have weather coming in that's going to affect a lot of people in the United States, among other things that are concerning. Thank you. If you would you join me in the pledge of allegiance? Salute. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Murphy, would you call roll?
Yes, sir. Alphabetically, Deanna Bonner. Here. Craig Keller.
Here.
Herman Kendrick. Mr. Kendrick had a business trip. Amy Madonna. Here. Amy Tosney. Here.
Okay, we established a quorum. Please record as such. Board, before you've got the agenda for today's board meeting, do I hear a motion to adopt today's agenda?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. One of our favorite times during the board meeting is recognition time. Mr. Gaston.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Dr. Murphy, board members, we have two recognitions this month, and we'll begin with our own Dr. Tara Simmons, our Assistant Superintendent for Administration, who has been nominated as a National Life Changer of the Year nominee. And you can see the screenshot there from their website. This is an annual program recognizing K-12 educators and system employees. They celebrate, the organization celebrates those exemplifying excellence, positive influence, and leadership. The selection committee at the National Life Group, which puts on the Life Changer of the Year award, was impressed by Dr. Simmons' commitment to safety initiatives in the district. So if we can recognize her.
Mr. Gaston, before you go forward, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Simmons. I've known Dr. Simmons since about 1997 or 1998, and when I had the privilege to bring on board with me someone I knew was a caliber person and knew her work ethic and knew her ability as an educator, I immediately called Dr. Simmons. I have never heard one word of anything evil about another spoken from her mouth, nor have I heard anyone ever speak evil of her. She has one of the best hearts, one of the finest people, and a great educator, and I'm honored that you sit beside me. Thank you, Dr. Simmons. Thank you.
Next, the Hoover High School BioBucks, led by teacher Janet Ort in the Environmental Sciences Division at Hoover High School. They are the Lexus Eco Challenge National Award winners, and here on the next slide you can see they are one of only 4 secondary first place teams nationwide in, again, the Lexus, and that is as in the auto manufacturer Eco Challenge. It's a national STEM contest challenging schools on environmental issues. Specifically, I'll jump to the last bullet point there. The Hoover High School BioBucks conducted primary research on particle pollution at various collection sites here in Hoover, and specifically in North Birmingham. They collected $25,000 in winnings, $17,000 of which was scholarship money. So if Ms. Ort and her team would come forward, please, and let's congratulate them.
Jason asked me to bring the check, so it's kind of fun and impressive. This is one of our teams. This is Christian Lamb. He's been one of my stalwart leaders, and I lost him this year to graduation, but he promises me we've recruited other people. Just thought I'd let you know that the money that came to Hoover High School will also fund work that we are continuing to do. One of our projects next year will be to collect some genetic material from all sorts of critters and plants and things that are around Hoover High School, and we'll be running some genetic assays on that, and they'll be in a barcoding, genetic barcoding, so it'll be kind of some cool biotech stuff And there's several other teachers that are interested in continuing our work on particle pollution, and that partnership is still growing. We're going to be installing some stationary sensors and hopefully give people some advocacy room in their own lives. So it's kind of exciting, and a lot of it's due to the young gentleman holding on to that check. So it's a privilege to work with everybody, and thank you to Mr. Montgomery and everybody who supports us at Hoover High School. Thank you.
I wanted to say something about Ms. Ort's class. Ms. Ort, I believe I came to ask Mr. Hewlin where you were a couple of 3 years ago, because we had captured a snake.
Right.
We returned it and couldn't identify the snake, so I guess you thought, anyway, I had the picture of the snake. You thought a crazy board member, what are they bringing a picture? But you did. You identified the snake, which is still living, I hope. And since then, we've been out there seeing the pollinator garden, special needs garden. Y'all have pulled up old junipers that were expiring, redone the outside area. So it is amazing what her class does in her leadership. So
Thanks
you just can't
everybody's
retire.
support. Thank you.
Here, here.
That concludes our recognitions. Thank you.
We have some Boy Scouts here. I'm just curious, did we overlook? Please stand up. I'd like to give them a hand. Thank you. Okay, good. Do we have any public participation tonight? Okay. Board Judge minutes from the regular board meeting on June 4th. Dr. Murphy?
Board members, I recommend your approval of minutes, June 4th board meeting.
Board to have approved for the minutes of June 4. Have a motion? Second. All in favor? Good. Thank you.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is personnel actions. Dr. Murphy?
Board members, you have a rather lengthy personnel report before you. It includes 78 appointments, 13 transfers, 10 leave of absence, 26 resignations, 7 retirements, and 7 contingent bus driver appointments. For our retirees, a total of 144 years walking out the door. We're always sad for retirements, but obviously for those individuals, we say congratulations. I recommend your approval of the personnel report.
Thank you. To have a motion to approve the personnel report as presented by the superintendent. Have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions from the board? Questions from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Personnel report's approved. Thank you very much.
I'd like to
Very
give just
somewhere.
an opportunity for those who just been approved. We have some principals and some directors who would like to acknowledge and recognize those who are coming on board. Dr. Simmons, you first.
Yes, I would like to recognize Matthew Wilson, who will be our coordinator of operations. He will take Tracy Hobson's position.
Thank you.
You can
Congratulations.
stand for us.
Thank
Thank you so much. Comes from BJCC with lots of good credentials and lots of great experience. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Principals, any of our principals with individuals with them? Mr. Montgomery.
Yes, we're adding an assistant principal at Hoover High School. Her name is Jennifer Box. She's a very experienced administrator. Been at big schools, not quite as big as ours, but been in big schools. We're really excited about her coming aboard. She's got a great background in academics, and she's thought of very highly at all the places she's been, so we're really excited to have her.
Sorry, Dr. White.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Carl Berryhill. He is our new assistant principal at Gwen Elementary School. He has been a teacher at both Brock Scack and at Simmons Middle School, and has been a coach with our high school football team and also at Simmons, and we're so proud to have him join us at Gwen.
And I know your family is with you, so would you all stand? He's two precious daughters. Yes, thank you.
I have a new teacher who is here tonight. Olivia Gray is going to teach second grade for us. Very good. First teaching experience.
Dr. Murphy, have Michael Alford. He's joining Student Services. He's going to come over and work with us. I've made some enemies at Brock's Gap by stealing him. So Mr. Mitchell is going to have my head on a plate here very soon. But we're very happy to have him join us. He brings a wealth of experience from Tuscaloosa over to Hoover, so we're glad to have him on our team.
Very good. Welcome. Ms. Bonner?
I would like to introduce our new Child Nutrition Program Supervisor, Lindsay Lauderdale. She brings to us a hotel, restaurant, hospitality degree and a background in equipment sales and also some experience in child nutrition, and we are just thrilled to have her.
Others? I'd like to acknowledge Dina Netterville, if you would stand. Dina is coming on board as the executive assistant to the superintendents, and we're delighted to have her, and I've already put her to work this evening. Assuming your approval, she's doing minutes for us this evening. So thank you. Next, Mr. Kelly, we have our business action items, and I'd like to ask Michelle McKay if she would share with us monthly financial statements for May, our cash disbursements for May, and payroll for June.
Good evening, board members. Please find attached the summary and general purpose financial statements for the month ended May 31, 2019, based on reconciled financial statements for fiscal year 2019. For the FY19 budget, 88.2% of budget revenue has been received for the month ended May 31, 2019. Keep in mind, ad valorem taxes are collected at the beginning of the fiscal year, and then collections decline for the remainder of the year. The results of operations represent 8 months of activity. Accordingly, we would anticipate having spent approximately 67% of the budget for recurring expenditures. At this time, general fund expenditures are only 62.36% of the budget. For the 8 months of activity, the current month's reserve is 9.76. This will continue to decline until ad valorem tax collections increase again in October. In May, we saw a decrease in instructional expenditures as 2018-2019 school year came to a close, and an increase in maintenance, materials, and supplies in preparation of summer projects. We made capital payments totaling $2.4 million and experienced a rise in utility costs related to record-breaking temperatures. Special revenue fund expenditures for 8 months of activity were $15.3 million and 82.14% of the budget. The majority of federal funds are expensed during the school year, and requests for reimbursement occur a month in arrears. Cash disbursements for May 2019, $5,500,348.18, and payroll for June 2019, $7,901,349.62.
Board members, I'd ask your approval of all 3 items.
Would have a motion to approve all 3 items as presented by Ms. McKay? Second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much, Ms. McKay.
Next, board members, I'd like to request the legislative 4% pay increase become effective with the beginning of one's contract. For 12-month employees, that would be seen in their July check. For our 9-month employees, that would be seen in our September check. The impact on our school district is somewhere in the neighborhood of $426,000. So again, rather than waiting to the October 1 budget, my request is that we begin that effective with July. I am requesting this for all employees with the exception of the superintendent, who's chosen to take no pay increase. And I would say to you that other surrounding school districts are doing similar. Just to name a few, Vestavia, our friends in Vestavia, Homewood, Trustful, Mountain Brook, Pelham, Bessemer, Jefferson County, Leeds, lots of our surrounding school districts are doing that, and we always want to be competitive with our friends, but most importantly, I wish to acknowledge our employees and the increasing challenges that they have daily and that they're facing, and just appreciate them so much, and would respectfully ask that you allow that pay increase to begin effective immediately.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Board, I have a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to enact the 4% salary increase July 1 or the appropriate time in September.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, are there any questions? I would like to say, I guess personally, initially, we're all trying to be as frugal as we can. We thought about doing this early on. Dr. Murphy contacted me, and in turn, information out to the board later about possibly doing this, and really pushed for it, which she rarely does for the employees. But before that breath was over, she insisted that she would not accept it. Her contract would allow her to take any teacher's salary increase mandated by the state. So this is not the board asking for this. This is Dr. Murphy. I know she doesn't like me saying this with her sitting here, but it is absolutely the truth. So thank you for your generosity. Okay. Board, any questions, comments?
I do want to say I do advocate for our employees. And thank you for the opportunity, board, to let me put that on the table. It is absolutely the right thing to do for our employees. They're most deserving, and it's my honor to put it on the table.
Yeah, that doesn't go unsaid that we appreciate what the employees do. We could not operate without you, not just having the positions filled, but the passion that you exhibit every day you come to work. 12 months or not, you still have these schools on your mind all the time. So this is justly rewarded. So thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And thank you, Michelle, for staying with us, because Michelle is going to cover for us 2019-2020 salary schedule. And we appreciate what you've just done, because that impacts now our salary schedule. Ms. McKay?
Thank you. Before you are two salary schedules for 2019-2020. So with implementation of the 4% raise in July, I'm recommending the board approve the 2019-2020 annual salary schedule for all employees that's identified with 4% legislative raise July 1, 2019.
Board members, I'd like to recommend your approval of the 1920 salary schedule
Would
as
have a
presented.
I'd have a motion to approve the 1920 salary schedule as presented. Have a second? Are there any questions? And we've reviewed this before. We actually reviewed a lot of this in a work session, so a lot of this has been discussed in detail before, and of course been available to the public to review prior to that.
So
Any questions?
to confirm, this is just the same thing we've looked at before. I mean, I spot checked it when I looked at with the 4% implemented.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to approve it every single year.
Yes. No, I know. I just want to make
But
sure.
that's good clarity,
Nothing.
though.
No additional.
Kind of.
No.
Nothing additional has been added since our last time. Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this passes. Thank you, Ms. McKay.
Supplemental schedule.
Board members, as you recall, last month I presented to you several changes to the existing 2018-2019 supplement schedules. I'm recommending the board approve the 2019-2020 supplement schedule for athletic supplements and other extracurricular supplements. With these changes acknowledging we gave careful consideration in collaboration with our principals and athletic directors to our coach-to-student ratio, coach-to-student athlete ratio.
I'd like to just add to that conversation. We actually had our two high school principals come in. We had our two athletic directors to come in. And we were very methodical, I think, as it related to what does our student athlete to coach ratio need to look like. And that's important not only from the end of ensuring that we're providing good coaching and support to our athletes. It's certainly a liability matter as you're thinking about athletics. So I appreciate the principals and our athletic directors who came and gave us some support as we looked at what should this ratio look like. So thank you to those individuals. Board members, I'd like to recommend your approval of the 1920 supplement schedule.
Board, do I have a motion to approve the 1920 supplement schedule, athletic supplement schedules?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? And like you said, Dr. Murphy, it's my understanding there's a lot of input from the ADs, from the principals, and this is dealing with athletic supplements. We're very, very conscious about all programs that contain supplements, so this is just dealing with here. It also gives clarity to the board up front, knowing, going forward what the expenditures are, and of course makes it easier for you to do your job.
Yes.
And I would actually like to thank you for your extra time that you give with the extra emails, explanations, and so forth. So we do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. You're welcome.
So this includes all supplement salary?
This is,
Yes, it's
Salaries.
athletic and other
Other
extracurricular.
with the athletic, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I wasn't clear. The athletic is what we made sure that was.
Yes.
Okay,
And,
what's
and
that?
this also includes that, I remember we talked about in our last meeting, covered by the booster clubs.
Yes, correct.
That funding that comes from the booster clubs, not just from our.
Yes,
from our
I
general
designate
fund.
whether those
You
funds will be
designate.
general fund from
Right.
the central
Right.
office
But
or
it's
local
got-
school.
So this should be the complete salary supplemental schedule. We hope.
We hope so.
We've tried really hard
All
because
inclusive.
our athletic directors nor our principals nor we want to realize we missed someone. So again, we've tried to be exceptionally thoughtful. I certainly cannot promise you that something doesn't come up where we needed some additional support and we had to and needed to put that in place for the sake of children. So only in the rarest of an occasion should we come back with any other request.
And we appreciate what the principals and ADs, all the staff does to keep this coordinated. It's expensive, but like Dr. Murphy said, we've got to take care of safety first of those children and also educate them in the activity they're in. So this is a big collaboration. This is not the superintendent or the CSFO saying here it is. A lot of collaboration went in here, and we pray that this is what we need for the upcoming school year. Okay. Ready to vote?
But, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Kitchen small wares, bid 2019-09. This is specific to some of our needs with our new culinary academy at RC3. Ms. McKay.
Board, I am recommending that you award bid 2019-09 kitchen smallwares to the sole bidder, Restaurant Equipment Warehouse. Although this bid was designed for RC3, it may be used by our high school family and consumer science classes as well. These unit costs are guaranteed for 3 years. This will allow for the gradual purchase of required equipment for the culinary program years 1, 2, and 3. The cost of equipment for year 1 is $39,591.75.
I'd like to request your approval of bid 2019-01 kitchen small wares.
Board, I have a motion to approve the bid as outlined by the superintendent to Restaurant Equipment Warehouse.
So moved.
With a second.
Second.
Okay, Ms. McKay, only one bidder is, I know that happens often. You're confident that these prices are good. I'm sure you checked even though we had one bidder to make sure we're in good shape with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We actually received some very good bids.
Any
Nick.
questions? No, sir. We voted.
Not yet.
Any questions? Don't scare me like that.
That must be in a hurry.
I'm so sorry. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This bid is approved.
Bid 2019-10 is for an ambulance simulator and equipment associated with that. Again, this is for our Health Sciences Academy at RC3. Ms. McKay?
So again, Board, I'm recommending that you award bid 2019-10 ambulance simulator and equipment to the qualifying low bidder, Rescue Simulation Products International. We received 2 bid responses. One bid did not meet all of the bid specifications. I've attached the tabulation of bids for your review.
Recommend your approval.
Have approval on bid number 2019-10 ambulance simulator.
So moved.
Got a second?
Second.
It's my understanding, and a couple of us went out, or one of us went out to Thompson High School and noticed, I believe this is like an ambulance that's basically built into the school so that when the students are learning, they go in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can actually go into an ambulance where there's actually someone simulated being treated. There's videos in there so an instructor can look at the process taken. So it's pretty impressive to see what this is. And to say simulator doesn't do justice to it. It looks like you're going into the back of an ambulance with a lot of things there. So. Any questions? Audience? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. This bid's approved.
Next, we have obsolete items and surplus items. I think we can take both of those together.
Okay, great. Please find attached for your review and board approval a list of capitalized assets that are no longer in service and that we wish to declare obsolete. Once approval has been given, the items will be properly disposed of. And just to give you some more information, some of the items on this particular list will be donated to an Alabama school district to be used for parks. The remaining items will be recycled or sold for scrap. Oh, that's right, sorry. As you know, we only receive funding for a bus for 10 years. Hoover City Schools is now on a cycle to refresh our bus fleet as these buses are retired. Please find attached for your review and board approval a list of buses we wish to declare surplus. These buses are no longer in use, nor do we receive funding for them from the state due to their age.
Board members, unless you object, I'd like for you to approve both obsolete items and surplus items.
Thank you. Board have a motion to approve obsolete and surplus items as noted.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And we're not bound by, like governments like the city, once we declare something obsolete or surplus, we're not required to an auction. It's up to, once we approve it, which is different. The city of Hoover, for example, if they had this here, they would have to send it out after approval and go out for bid. So we can put it to its best use. And in some cases, we put it to the use of other students. It might not be as fortunate as we are.
That's absolutely correct, yes, sir.
Any questions? All in favor?
Next, board members, you have our textbook request. I appreciate Dr. Jeter's work and that of her committee. The request is for $113,576.60 to be committed to resources, to books. Some of the books for math, English language, others for literacy, K2, K5, our Cyber Innovation Academy, and other RC3 resources. I request your approval of the textbook adoption request.
Would have a motion to approve the textbook adoptions?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Are there any questions? Who would answer this, Dr. Murphy, on?
Dr. Jeter?
Dr. Jeter?
Yes.
Dr. Jeter, thank you. As we move forward too, we're obviously taking advantage of textbooks that can be electronic, that can be updated, so the subscriptions. So, I mean, we're still in need of, obviously, for bound textbooks, but we're obviously staying ahead of the curve. Or where we can contract to update books that can be virtual or either electronically used.
And many on that list, and the list last month, are virtual or electronic. Kelly is here. Our team works on that. Some of the text, traditional hardback books are for RC3, but some of his are electronic, so yes. And some of our textbook adoptions come with hardback and electronic site license.
Do we ever have, so these that I see here, the majority of them are digital books.
Yes.
For the student that does well with a book in their hand, do we have the capability of doing that, like giving them something in this case?
And I've dealt with that situation this school year with a student with a 504. Yes, we were able to provide a print copy.
Okay, very good. Yes.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Any from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that is adopted.
Dr. Simmons, would you share briefly with us student drug testing? It's time for us to approve our testing company again.
Yes. $25 of every student parking pass goes towards student drug testing. We randomly drug test high school students that are drivers or students in competitive activities. Last year we tested 924 students at Spain Park and Hoover High School, a total of 924 students. We received a cost proposal from 2 different companies. I propose that we go with ESS, which has the lower bid of $32.75 per student drug test. I'm sorry, $31.95. Sorry.
Board members, I'd like to recommend your approval of student drug testing proposal allowing ESS Company to be our vendor for that.
Board have a motion to accept ESS as a drug testing company for the coming school year.
So moved.
A second.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Is that who we used last year?
We did.
And we were happy with it?
We were. No issues according to both high schools.
You were explaining the other day too, the formula, I know where's the parking money and how that comes into it, and there's a divisor there to make sure this is funded in that manner?
That is correct. So what we do is we'll multiply every parking ticket sold by $25 and then divide that amount by $31.95 to determine how many students can be tested. And we do that based on how many parking tickets are sold at Spain Park, and that's the number that we test at Spain Park, and then we look at Hoover High School separately as well.
it sustains itself.
It does.
Is this for the most part, a random
Right,
drug
we
testing?
give the names of all student drivers and students that participate in competitive sports or activities to ESS, and they randomly select students, and they come probably to each school once a month. The contact at each school schedules a date and time that the company will come, so it might be different each month, but the students are tested throughout the year.
Including those who drive.
That is correct.
Are randomly tested.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This is approved, Dr. Murphy.
Thank you. Board members, we had just a brief discussion at the board table last month about the use of cell phones, and so we've spent some time taking a look at that. Dr. Simmons, would you share with us Class 2.18, which is an existing sanction in our Code of Conduct?
Gladly. The Student Code of Conduct Committee proposes that we revise infraction code 2.18 in the Student Code of Conduct to include earbuds and headphones. Do you mind going to the next slide? All of the principals are in favor of this recommendation. This change would allow principals to decide if the devices can be used at any other location other than the classroom so that we can maximize instructional time. The policy reads as you see on the screen, and this is an existing policy. The only thing that we're proposing that be changed in this policy is what you see in red. The unauthorized use of electronic devices such as cell phone accessories, including earbuds and headphones, computers and wearables. Wearables would be like an iWatch. Students are not permitted to use wireless electronic devices at school without express permission from the school principal or designee. This has also been reviewed by our school board attorney, Mr. Whitcolvin.
So we've had this reviewed by our principals, it's been reviewed by our attorney, our committee's taken a look at it. The rule already exists, we're just simply bringing it to your attention and back to the public attention to talk about how important it is that cell phones not be used in unauthorized areas. I would suggest to you that, again, principals have discretion here, but we've talked about bell to bell being a critical time when cell phones really do not need to be out and being utilized. There certainly may be exceptions at the discretion of the principal teacher that it's being used for something instructional, but basically this is saying we are not walking into our classrooms leaning back with earbuds in our ear and disengaging from instruction. And again, we're not usurping the authority of our school principals or their designee to make critical decisions, but we are saying that instructional time is valuable, we need to protect it, we need to respect it, and reminding all of this rule is important. It is a Class 2. Board members, I'd like to recommend your approval of this revised infraction 2.18, which encourages our students to make sure they're valuing that classroom time and continue to give that authority to our principals to make any necessary decisions regarding this.
Board have a motion to change Code of Conduct 2.18 to reflect as the superintendent recommended.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Are there any questions from the board?
May I add one other thought? Certainly we may have students who have an IEP, for example. It's very calming to them to be able to have a headset on or headphones on or music with earbuds. We're not talking about exempting or not allowing that for those students. IEPs very well may have something related to that, and we'll respect and honor all those needs.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This revision is made to 2.18 in the Code of Conduct.
Thank you. Next, board members, we have a job description which we shared with you last month, which is for a courier. As I shared with you, we have been borrowing our maintenance and operation folks to pick up from point A and deliver to point B, and it's not the best use of our operations and maintenance. We ask you for this job description, and upon your approval, we'll post a position for a courier and try to stay away from our operations and maintenance folks in using their time. I recommend your approval of the job description for courier.
Would have a motion to approve the job description for courier?
So moved.
With a second? Any questions? Any questions from the audience? We've reviewed this before, of course, and Tracy and his staff and others were having to stop what they were doing to go different places around the district, more than one people. So this should actually save money and become more efficient to have a courier assigned to do this rather than interrupting other important work schedules. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Good. We'll post that vote.
Thank you. Under superintendent's report, I'd like to share or have my staff share with you on several things. First of all, as you all know, the ad valorem tax referendum, the 2.4 mil ad valorem tax referendum is been through a process. I'd like to just remind us what that referendum process looks like. If you'd go to the next slide. So just as a reminder, our board passed a resolution November the 13th requesting of our city the opportunity to get them to pass a resolution to carry forward to our legislators, which our city did. Exceptionally grateful for that. They did that January the 7th. It went forward then to the legislative session. I want to again publicly thank Senator Wagner and Representative David Faulkner for their support and work. They carried that through the 2019 legislative session, and it was on May 21st that Governor Ivey signed the referendum process for us, which allows us to bring back now to our constituents, to our community, the opportunity to vote on whether we increase our mills an additional 2.4 mills, which would take us to the 75 mills, or what we refer to as the lid. And so the next step in this process for us is to have a conversation about setting a date for the referendum, and I'm not sure that we're prepared to do that this evening, but I want to keep that before you for conversation. Just want to remind you, what does a 2.4 mills mean? It would increase by 24 cents on each $100 of assessed value. So just for a quick example, a home that's assessed at the value of $200,000 would increase taxes by $480 annually. Again, 24 cents on each $100. I would also remind you that a mill in Hoover is equal to approximately $1.5 million, and as a result of that, upon our citizenry passing this, it would allow us to have an additional $3,636,000. I know that there are lots of opportunities waiting for us in terms of next steps, which would basically be that of sharing with our community the advantages of the passage of this for our students. I don't have a presentation of all of those things, but I just wanted to share a couple of things that I think is really important as we start to talk to our community about the 2.4 mil or the referendum. There are two things that just jump right out at me that I think we need to do to serve our students. And at this point in time, not necessarily could I say to you, oh, here it is in the budget where we could do this, but the additional resources would support us. You're going to hear a presentation in just a few minutes from Claire Moore and Autumn Jeter about our preschool program. We're so excited about that. But what you're going to find out is of those individuals who applied, and there were 386 families wanting this opportunity for their children, and we're only going to be able to serve 90 of those based on that grant. That means that we're only going to serve 23% of those families who said, hey, I want early learning for my child. We're only going to be able to serve less than a quarter of those who said, hey, we want that support. I think that's a place where we need to continue that conversation about an early learning center and how are we able to serve more children in Hoover. And I would say that that's a very important place for us to talk about how 2.4 additional mills would support us. I found it interesting that we've done a little research about the arts in our school district. And I wanted to share with you that at Hoover High School, 43% of those students are participating either in visual or performing arts. That's compared to 30% of the students at Hoover High School participating in athletics. When we look at Spain Park High School, we see that 49% of those students are involved in the arts, and that compares to 31% of the students at Spain Park involved in athletics. What does that tell me as your superintendent? We have a lot of students who are interested in the arts, either performing or visual, but they're about the arts. And I think it's time for us to have a really important and critical conversation about how we best serve our children in the area of arts. And we've had some conversations about a performing arts center, and I think it's time for us to have a really serious conversation about a performing arts center. So if I just was to snatch 2 ideas, just right out of many I could share with you, I would say an early learning center and really getting a focus on the performing arts would be 2 places where we could say to our community, here's a better way for us to serve your children. And again, we could share many other examples. And so we're going to need to get out and have those conversations with our community. We're going to need HPTC. We're going to need the Finley Committee. We're going to need the Foundation Committee. We're going to need everybody to help us talk about how we continue to make this an outstanding and terrific school district. And all get behind, I hope, this 2.4 meals of additional ad valorem tax. And I don't think it's going to be a stretch or a difficult thing for us at all to talk about how important additional revenue is to us meeting some of the needs of our students. So I look forward to those community meetings. Board members, I just want to challenge us to begin to think about when is the best time for such a referendum. I don't think we're ready to do that tonight. But I do want us to begin the conversation. There is no set date by which we have to do this. In other words, we don't have to do this before 2019 ends. Perhaps it's this time next year that we're looking at and talking about a referendum. I don't purport to tell you what that date is, but I just want to say to you there's nothing imminent about this and nothing that says, ooh, we've got to do this in the next few months. So I just wanted to share that with you regarding the 2.4 meals.
This has been a long process, and as Dr. Murphy said, we sincerely appreciate not only Senator Wagner and Mr. Faulkner who sponsored the bill. They had to get there. But even the delegation in this area was called a local delegation. It was considered in a local bill to get as far as it did to get approved. Mountain Brook also got one approved. I believe their election is September 24th. It's up to the city, our city council, to call the election date. The cost of the election is borne by the city, not us. We are allowed to spend a little bit of money to help educate the public on what we're doing as we approach that. We need all of your help to understand why we need this passed. Jason, do you remember the last time millage was actually increased and not just renewed?
Seems like it was the late 90s. The last renewal was 2017, but
yes,
possibly the late 90s for the...
I believe our renewals passed in the upper 90s, I believe. So a lot of confidence in the school district. So this is the only new tax since in the 90s, as you said. It is important. With the raises, thank goodness that the state's given, with a lot of the costs going up, this is kind of to keep up. And we've got some big projects. We've got Bluff Park, the old Bluff Park School is going to be, part of it's going to be raised, not the older section. Part of it's going to be raised, new classrooms put in. We already know how many classrooms are going in at Berry Middle School, River Chase Elementary, and we have a long-term plan for capital expenditures. This is where this money comes from. We intend to stay way above the state minimum reserve on funding here, and to do that, we're going to need the public's help. So the board intends to answer questions, get out into the public, talk to anyone that will have us to explain why we're asking for this.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to just talk for a few minutes about our proposed policy 3.35 and to give you a little bit of an update. We do not have policy 3.35 on the table for you. We believe that it needs further review. We think and know that we need our community's input. Would you go to the next slide, please? We want to continue the legal vetting of 3.35, and we are seeking input from multiple organizations. And I want to share with you that we are already in that process. On June the 26th, We sat with 3 groups of individuals. We spent time with our equity committee, our student diversity committee, and our parent equity committee, and we took a look at 3.35. What does it say? What does it mean? And it was a very productive conversation. Dr. Lamar will be putting together some copious notes from those meetings so that we can share what has been said to us from those committees. Dr. Lamar also has met with 2 leading experts in the diversity field. Both of these individuals are currently retired, but we got their names from our attorneys, and that's Dr. Verdell Roberts and Dr. Donna Elam, and he also is preparing notation as to the feedback that those 2 individuals gave him. We're also next seeking input from other various groups. I've not had yet a chance to put my Superintendent's Advisory Council to take a look at this, but I believe we also will want to have community meetings. We've talked about how important that is. I would appreciate any conversations that Department of Justice might choose to have with us about this. The NAACP Legal Defense, Southern Poverty Law Center made some mention of 3.35 in a recent article that Ms. Crane, Trish Crane prepared. We are working with the University of Montevallo, a team that's working with us who does diversity training, and we want to continue to get input from them. Board members, you all had an opportunity to meet Bernard, he goes by Bernie, but Bernard James, who's an attorney with Pepperdine University School of Law. I think he may be in the process of retiring, but he actually shared with us that he would take a look at 3.35 and that he might actually use 3.35 as a class project to allow the aspiring attorneys in his class to use 3.35 as a project. There have been some Alabama legislators who've expressed interest in the matter of disruptions that come to school that maybe did not generate itself at school but generated itself somewhere else. Our next slide, we also want our HPTC parents to work with us. We want our foundation, we want education associations such as AASB, SSA, Class, AEA. What I'm saying to you, board members, is this has generated a lot of good conversation, and I'm glad that has, because it is a conversation we do need to have. If the wording is not right, we have an eraser. If we've overreached our jurisdiction, we can back off. If we're on firm footing and we need to be this clear about where we stand as a board about things that are disrupting our school, we can stand there too. But what I'm saying to you is there's a lot of additional conversations I want us to now have. And I think there are a lot of people who want to talk to us and share with us. This is not an issue that is just specific to our school district. There are a lot of other school districts having this conversation about things that are coming to school that maybe didn't necessarily generate itself at school but came to the school as a disruption after an event. I will say to you that based on a lot of the feedback that we've gotten so far, there are concerns about our respect for First Amendment rights and about respect for our families and their rights to privacy and about respect for off-campus time of our students. Please let me say to you publicly at this table, I hold to the greatest and highest respect for First Amendment rights. Same for our families and their rights to privacy. And same for respecting that our students have time off campus for which I have no interest in inserting myself or my position. And so these are some of the things that we've been told. And as a result of that feedback, I just want to be very clear that the intent of 3.35 never was to tread on any of these critical and important areas, and I hold them exceptionally important, as I know you do. So where do we go next? Next slide. Well, there's nothing there. Okay, so there we go. So we don't know where we go next, right? So board members, I think we have a lot of good conversations in front of us, and I'm looking forward to those conversations. I will not bring back to the table to you 3.35 until I have fully heard from, maybe not all of these organizations, but it's really important to me that we continue this conversation. This isn't 3.35 is going to happen. This isn't 3.35 is being abandoned. This is 3.35 needs some attention. And I intend for us to give it all due attention and to come back to you at an appropriate time, which could be next year this time, I don't know. But to come back to you and say, here's what we've learned, here's what's been said to us, and most importantly, not only what's legal, but what do we need to do now? And so I just wanted to give you that update. I will not continue to put 3.35 on our agenda. I think we've talked about it. I hope people understand where we are with this, and that is that it needs a whole lot of additional conversation. So thank you for being patient with us as we decide what this looks like for us. Okay?
Thank you, Dr.
Now next on the agenda. We have work sessions which we have started with you, and if you'd go to the next slides. In May, as you recall, we did some things about understanding financials. We looked at our student code of conduct. In June, we looked at capital outlay plan. We looked at our supplements. We chose not to have one this evening. And we could run through the other months, but we've identified for you some of the things that we think is important. Curriculum, instructional support, federal programs, perhaps that conversation in August. Equity in our educational initiatives. I can't wait for Dr. Lamar to share with you all of the plethora of things that we've already done to address equity in our school district and unity in our school district, and what things we want to continue to focus on as it relates to unity in our school district. And then a report from the department, from the Human Resources Department. We were thinking in October we'd take a look at mental health in our school district and have some conversation about student services. And then in November, having our IT department talk about some of their work, Ms. Bonner and CMP, and then health services presentation. December, we could look and share some things about transportation and operations. January, we could do public relations. Or we can move these around any way you want to, because I also know as a board, you have some things you've said to me, hey, we want to talk about some things at work sessions. So I'll pull that back up to say we have some ideas and thoughts and a direction, but it's very important that we make sure we put in during work sessions those things that you all want us to talk about. We're going to need to talk about the ad valorem. We're going to need to talk about an early learning center. We're going to need to talk about a performing arts center.
I'd like to do that in August.
You'd like to do that in August?
All those things. I mean, it's so hard to not be able to openly discuss things. And those are crucial times that, and I love when, anybody can come to those, but I like when the central office people come and maybe we could just openly share ideas and talk and about those critical things that we're thinking about with that ad valorem tax. So.
One of the things that we could do is it doesn't have to be associated with a board meeting, because we sit back here and it feels a little stuffy, right? And
I
so,
don't want to do that.
so work sessions. So work session. Can you do it?
Just wear tennis shoes.
So work sessions could be a different day, a different time, a different forum, a different format, and I've heard some of you say, hey, let's just get real and get out from behind the table,
Right.
and so
And I
let's
think-
talk about that.
Yeah, I would prefer for them to be a little less formal, that we're not sitting behind this desk and these big chairs right before a board meeting, because I think the conversation, I just think it's gonna be better if it's a little more informal. We have tables and chairs, we're inviting other people to the table. And I think it would be better for us, this is just me speaking, but better for us if it's a set time and date every single month, like the first Monday of every month at 9 a.m. or something like that, something that we can all agree on that will work with our schedules, and just have it as a set time. That would help our public, it would help us, And then if there's not a need, then we can cancel. That would be my suggestion. What do you guys think?
No, I think that's a good way to have productive dialogue. I would like to keep the chair.
We can move the chair over there.
But no, yeah, I think we could probably come up with a time, but.
And perhaps you all need to help us decide what's most pressing for next. So when we're thinking about August, what does August look like? And again, we need to decide a date and a time, and I assume it would be here in this building, but also what's that conversation look like?
I gave my 2 cents. Anybody else?
Like
Second,
Bill.
can I get a second?
There's no motion. I like this.
Kidding.
I know you are. Dr. Lamar may be early on too, before school starts, to see where we are. That's diversity training. We're all following that. But it's an informal way, as you know, I say it many times. Your board can't meet in public, discuss items that maybe become an agenda item or decisions made up here. The work session is just informal. There's no motions, there's no seconds. We can listen, we can talk, and pretty much there's no Robert's Rules of Order, except we do keep control. But it's not like you're seeing here, so we're going to spend the extra time to listen more. We've already gone, Ms. McKay, Mr. Hobson's already been here, and it's been public meetings to explain to you some of the decisions we've made in a less formal environment in much more detail. I would like to hear from the public. For us to try to get together, we're trying to decide, is it Monday mornings? You know, we don't know. We're glad to hear from you all out there. We don't want to leave. We're not going to make a decision on that tonight anyway, but we'd like to know, because we do want the public to be here. We're aware that our employees need to be involved in this, and some of them may not can be here all the time. So we're trying to be open about it and really listen. Yes, sir, Mr. Schultz.
I think the venue is important. You know, here, I've counted so far, we have a total of 69 seats. And of those, 11 people are standing. The venue would probably be better if you can change the venue to where people can listen to you and be a little more comfortable in listening to what you have to say. I think that's an important thing.
Okay. We're open to listen to that. We have a little bit of surprise at the end of this meeting today to share with you. So we're looking at maybe conducting some public meetings at this campus. We do have to be concerned with our staff, our employees, that we don't take them away from their jobs and get too far out with something. So that's a concern. But I hear you. Okay, thank you.
So perhaps you all just send us what you think are some best day of the week or best time of the day, or if you'll just give us some feedback, we'd love to start this in August.
We'll do that.
Thank you. Next, budget hearing. As you all know, by Alabama law, we are required to have 2 budget hearings. The proposal is September the 5th at 6 p.m. and September the 10th at 4 p.m. The September 10th is our regular scheduled board meeting, which would start at 5:30. That would give us some time with an ounce of a break in between. Those are the proposed dates and times, but certainly open to your schedules.
Ms. Tosman, Madonna,
Fine with me.
those dates good with you? Those dates are fine with me.
Okay. So Jason and Michelle will start to post those dates so our public can plan for that, okay? Next, Office of School Readiness Pre-K update. I'm going to ask Dr. Jeter and Claire Moore to go ahead and to come up. It's most appropriate at this point that I thank Claire Moore and Autumn Jeter and Tara Simmons, who have been absolutely instrumental in putting grants together. We've been blessed now with 5 grants from the State Department, from the Office of First Class Pre-K Programs. I am particularly pleased that this program is being offered this year without cost to any of our families. We will draw 90 names on Friday. I understand what you're doing, and so we're excited about that, for this opportunity this year to be a free kindergarten. The reason you receive a grant is, and the reason you're allowed to charge a fee is to be able to sustain pre-K once your grant goes away. But we chose to make this free this year. We will, and this particular grant is a one-year grant. We will apply again next year for a grant, which once you receive the second round, it's a 3-year opportunity for you. And once we, and we're confident, once we get those 3-year opportunities, then in order to meet the needs and to sustain the program, there would be a minimum of, and this is based on state requirement, there would be a minimum of a $40 a month tuition to attend a month. So $40 for the month. You can charge more, which is interesting, but you can't charge less. You can design a sliding scale to assist those who are struggling financially. So those are all some conversations we'll have, but right now we're going to enjoy the fact that we have this first year, and we chose, based on our grant, that we did not want to charge our community, that we wanted this first experience to be without cost. So thank you for that. I look forward to what happens this year in the life of 90 children whose names will be drawn on Friday.
Yes, we're going to share that.
Thank you, Claire.
Thanks for the hard work, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Murphy and the board. We are so excited. In the spring, we actually applied. It was a collaborative effort, and wonderful principals out there working so hard with us. We applied for 5 grants, and we received news June 6th. Dr. Murphy received notification that all 5 had been awarded. That's $120,000 each. So cumulatively $600,000. Yes, can go up here. And what's really awesome about that helps cover the teachers, the auxiliary teacher, a wonderful classroom, all the classroom tables, cubbies, manipulatives, curriculum, all those great initiatives, field trip opportunities that they may not have, parental involvement, engagement activities, just a wonderful opportunity. Tomorrow we have something exciting happening. Right up here.
So speaking of tomorrow, and Claire and I have become best friends. I feel like I need a shirt that says Claire and I pre-K. But tomorrow is the big day. It's the random selection, affectionately known as the lottery. So you may hear both terms. And our process begins at 9:30. We're going in alphabetical order with our schools. Green Valley, 9:30. Greystone, 10 o'clock. Gwen, 10:30. Rocky Ridge, 11. And South Shades Crest, 11:30. It's open to the public. We have a process that we are following that will be monitored by our state representatives. When I say representatives, that's a director and a monitor from the Department of Early Learning. They will be here with us, and they've approved and checked and heard of the process that we will have tomorrow. We'll go through and pull numbers, and at the end of each school's selection, the principal will receive a list, and the parents will be notified at some point after that. But they will hear from their principal if they were selected. We will maintain a waiting list. Just in case, in the event someone moves and we need to move another student up, that process will happen throughout the school year. As I stated, parents will be notified sometime after their school's drawing. And also in the next couple of weeks, there are some guidelines we have to follow. The lead, which is the main teacher, and the auxiliary teachers, which is somewhat like the paraprofessional or the teacher's aide, they're required to go through a series of training. So over the next couple weeks before we start school, those teachers will receive official training from their Department of Early Learning.
Yes, and I just wanted to add one quick thing. Dr. Murphy, you mentioned this. If we do have the opportunity to apply next year for a 3-year renewal piece, that would actually begin in February. So we have accomplished a lot in a very short window.
And next year, other elementary schools might apply. They would be in the 1-year cycle then. So just because we have 5 schools right now who could go to a 3-year cycle, it doesn't mean that our other elementary schools that didn't get a chance to jump on this are eliminated. We can add some other programs. I think it's also important to say we won't draw a name and go, Kathy Murphy. There will be a number, and so for those I just want to say to parents, you're welcome to come, but we're not going to be calling names. So a parent would leave here tomorrow still not knowing. The school will be the point of contact to let them know if their child's been selected. We don't mind parents coming. I just don't want them to be disappointed when they get here and find out, I still don't know if my kid was one that was drawn.
Thank you for reiterating that, yes, and it very well could be sometime tomorrow evening on, it could be Monday, so thank
Okay.
you.
I just want to mention too, that there will be 18 students per classroom.
18 per class.
Yes, ma'am, 16.
And we had the following students whose families filled out application for pre-K. South Shades Crest had 99, Green Valley had 65, Rocky Ridge had 70, Greystone had 43, and Gwen, Dr. White, had 109 families wanting their children to have that early learning experience. So there's a huge interest in our community to prepare our students and help them get ready for school. So thank all three of you. Dr. Simmons was also involved. Thank y'all so much. Board members, questions about it?
I think it's awesome. Great.
We do too. And the governor has really been pushing this. There's been no objection from the legislature as this has come along. So we're very, very excited. It is so important to get these children prepared at the same level when they actually in kindergarten at any point at the end of the school. But to get them prepared as early as this is exciting for the district. And thank you so much. The grants, I mean, even though we're not charging, it's paid with the grants. And we hope that going forward, it will continue to be funded.
We feel confident.
Yes.
I can see that.
Yes.
Thank you. For
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. All right, next, let's see if I can see where we are. Dr. Dotson, would you share just with us about RC3? And I think there's a quick 1 minute or so video that we might get to see too.
We're going to do that?
Popcorn?
So we've been chronicling from a video standpoint just the progress, construction progress and otherwise of RC3, the River Chase Career Connection Center. And as mentioned, we've got a brief video that is here on the desktop.
Just wait till you see it.
Dr. Murphy and Board, I'm here to officially report that I'm tired. I've never been more tired in my life, but it's been a happy journey. A lot of work going on still, but we will be ready for students on the first day of school. And I am here officially tonight to invite you to our ribbon cutting, which is scheduled for Thursday, August the 1st at 9 a.m. And immediately after, we will have open house to the public, so the public is invited as well to that time. And we're also going to be doing student registration that day. So it's going to be a very busy day, trying to roll everything in that needs to happen. But we're looking forward to sharing the good news about what's been going on. As of tonight, we have 749 students enrolled, with a waiting list currently at both schools for both shifts. So we're still working through schedules and trying to get as many students in as we can. Construction, I'm sorry.
You had originally hoped for.
Our goal, which I was told by the state we would never reach, was 400 students this year. So that has presented some problems, as I'll share with you, but our opportunities, if you will. But those are good problems to have. It shows the demand, and just like our pre-K program, it shows that there's tremendous demand for this and a need that is there. Construction progress continues. We'll face an important checkpoint next week when work will be continuing after that point, but we will actually have possession of the building hopefully after the final state inspection. And we are currently working in, because of the increased numbers of students, we've had to go ahead and start working on classrooms that we weren't planning to be ready for next year in order to accommodate the extra students. And so Mr. Wilbanks and his crew have already been working in classrooms and trying to get those extra 6 rooms ready in spaces that we weren't planning on using this year. Transportation plans, Mr. Bradford, I want to look back to you, make sure I'm getting this right. Where are you tonight? There you are. Right now we're planning on having 7 buses ready that day, 4 for Hoover High School, 3 for Spain Park, and we're going to be monitoring the student numbers each way. In terms of student drivers, I told Dr. Murphy the one thing I can guarantee you that day is we're not going to have enough parking spaces. Had we had 400 students, we would have had enough parking spaces, but with 749, there's not enough. We are making contingency plans. Mr. Wilbanks is helping us mark off some spaces on the road around the school, and we plan to use the track. We'll be using the track up on the athletic field as a parking space for students. I'll be asking in October for you to consider looking at the original plan we had for expanded parking in that area, and looking at contingency plans to, as our students continue to turn 16, during the year, that need is going to grow. So parking is one thing that I can tell you we will have a contingency plan, but it's going to be a challenge when we start school. And I think you'll see a little bit of that on ribbon cutting day. So if you want to carpool, that might be a good idea. In terms of I know safety and security is also something that's on people's minds. This is a different learning environment. It's a different thing for us as a school system. This school is also in a different place in terms of its location, and it's kind of isolated. And so I wanted you to know that is number one on my concern in terms of student safety. This is going to be a simulated workspace environment. We're bringing the kids to a place of work and in conditions that look very much like real places of work. They're going to be using real equipment. This same equipment will be used to train adults. And so this is real stuff. We will have higher expectations of students in this environment. They will receive training from the same training you would get if you were on the job site. That's approved by OSHA. And the job is safety is job one. It's got to be not just the words that we say, but the walk that we walk every single day and in everything we do. The campus will be equipped with cameras, both internal and external. There's a lot of community eyes on this property. I know, Amy, you'll know the community values that track and being able to walk on it at night. And I like the fact that there's community people around and who help us keep an eye on things, and they have kept me well informed whenever there have been any concerns in the area, and I appreciate that. Very good communications with Mr. Montgomery, Mr. Gene Grosso, as well as Homewood. So we plan to have very close coordinated communications in the event of emergencies and transportation contingencies. That's going to be very important in everything we do. I also want everyone to know we will have a nurse year one, and that was important to us to make sure that if there is an accident, we have someone who's capable of responding medically to that. And all staff members of the school will be trained in stop the bleed training to deal with it. Certainly we hope that never happens, but to deal with traumas should they occur. Do you have any questions for me?
We're just excited.
I'm too. I'm tired, but I'm excited. So thank you for this opportunity and look forward to welcoming you to
Wait,
your new
just
school.
from the River Chase person perspective, is there any plans to maybe, at least in the first week or so, have some traffic, like police there, or just, I know that that's a big concern.
It is a
in
big
that
concern.
area,
I've heard
yeah.
from a number of people. I still think the volume of traffic initially is going to be less than what it was when it was a middle school. But with younger drivers, we're going to have to monitor. We're going to have to watch, make sure that they drive carefully through the neighborhood and be a good example for us.
I just think just getting started, it'd be good to at least have a little bit of a presence there.
We can certainly reach out to our Hoover City and ask for some additional support. It's
I
good.
think that would be very beneficial.
Mr. Rice was at our community meeting with the River Chase Neighborhood Association and heard that concern along with me.
I'll also add that I spoke with Sergeant Foreman this week, and there will be an SRO at RC3 next year.
That is correct.
Oh, good.
So-
Awesome, thank you.
All day, every day.
Okay. All day,
Every school.
That's great.
Very good, thank you.
Hang on, Ron. Mr. Bradford, thank you. He's made arrangements for those 7 buses. We appreciate that. I want to thank Janet and the foundation. They are providing Wi-Fi for one of our buses. We're trying to make sure that all those buses have Wi-Fi because we want them to have the opportunity to continue their learning even though they're losing some time in transportation. So thank you to the foundation for supporting and helping us with that. We're going to give opportunity for all of our teachers and all of our staff to see RC3 in place of a teacher institute as we've typically done. We've gone to our friends over at Hunter Street Baptist Church and they've always been gracious to us, and this year we're not going to do that. We're going to do 2 things for Teacher Institute. We're going to transport all of our faculties and staff over to RC3 on that day, what's that day? The 5th. And give them an opportunity to see that. Rather than them talking to students about, hey, I've heard it's a pretty cool building, they're going to be able to say, I saw that building, let me tell you. And so we'll make that opportunity available for all of our faculty and staff. We're talking about ways that we can leave that facility open and available for the adults who might take advantage of that after hours. I think that's a good thing to give back to our community, that opportunity to have access to that building so that some of our parents can get a skill set that would allow them to go out and also to be gainfully employed, and I'm excited as we're looking at that. It's important for me to say to Mr. Wilbanks, what a trooper he's been through this process, and the fact that he has just stepped in the gap as Tracy Hobson took leave of us. Tracy's still been involved, by the way.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate that. But I've lost Mr. Wilbanks. Is he back there somewhere?
Stepped out.
He stepped out. Well, we appreciate him. And board members, we absolutely have an exceptional debt to Ron Dotson. He has done a yeoman's work. And I am so proud of you, Ron. Thank you for raising your hand. I told him the other day, raise your hand again. He says he did it. He raised his hand and said, I want to do this. And he has just been the perfect fit for that and has worked tirelessly to make this opportunity available for our children. And I'm so proud of your work. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Board members, we also are in the process of getting a sidewalk, and Mr. Kelly, you've been so instrumental in that. Could I pitch to you to share a little bit about that?
Yes. A couple of years ago, Signature Homes built a sidewalk from Caldwell Mill, basically up to Berry Middle School, to Kirkland. The new Kirkland project was there, and there would be students walking, so Signature was gracious to build that sidewalk. It was brought to our attention by Dr. Middlebrooks, Mr. Jim Grosso, Dr. Robbins, that it'd be nice to have the sidewalk continue on that takes the kids all the way up to the high school. So with collaboration with Signature, city officials, that'll start processing next week. So it's about 900 feet of sidewalk, and I see that Jason's got it. That's actually, I know that's hard to see, I don't have a marker, but you see Berry Middle School by my poor printing. The sidewalk will be, you're looking north, the sidewalk will be on the south side from left to right. Now, unfortunately, there's some pretty sawtooth oaks along that way. We have a lot of our public that walks that area that goes to Veterans Park. We're going to have children that want to go from Kirkman all the way up to the school. There's not going to be a way to save those trees, and Mr. Giangrosso will tell you, I was almost begging to figure out a way not to cut a single tree out there. So please understand, we had to make a choice where we made it a safer environment for walking the public and the children, or leave the trees. So the city is going to do the best they can to save the trees, but some trees are going to go away. So please, we don't want death threats at home. Anyway, so this is very good. We'd like to we'll give you some more information. We think that the project will be started next Wednesday. The city will come out and excavate, get materials away, get it to the point where Signature can come in, frame it up, ready to be poured, and when it's done, then the city will come back, dress it back up, put the material back that needs to be, also strike. Jaguar Drive is owned by the school district, not the city. The city is going to come back and stripe the road for us, put the signs up for us. So this is truly a collaborative effort, and we want to formally thank the city officials and the others involved in this project. There's no cost to the school district here. This is a pretty expensive project. So we want to formally thank the ones involved. We'd like to do that at the next board meeting when we see it's finished. So for now, you'll see a little bit of disruption in the next couple of weeks until that's done. Please be patient, and it'll be a safer environment for the children and the public to get back and forth. There will be a crosswalk added. It would have to be done anyway, so we're not creating another crosswalk asking the children to cross the street. Either they cross to the east at the high school, or they cross at the new crosswalk, which will be to the west side of Berry Middle School. So keeping it as safe as we can. It's a good situation to have in the community we live in. So the community involvement with the board and the city is always there, and we appreciate it. And with our partners in the community that are in private business. So more information to follow, and we want to really thank the ones involved in a later board meeting.
And appreciate you too, Mr. Kelly. Thank you for that. And lastly, substitute salary schedules. We have 3 categories of employees that we want to share briefly with you some information about, with no request at this point, but just have asked Michelle if she would talk about substitute pay in 3 categories, that of nurses, CMP, and custodians. Thank you, Michelle.
No, I shared some 2018, 2019 data with you regarding our nurses. 455 sub-nurse assignments in health rooms this year. 704 nurses on bus assignments, 104 nurses on field trip assignments, 278 outsourced nurse assignments. This means bus routes and special education events. 25 assignments were covered by the district lead nurse with Miss Vicki Holden, and 17 assignments were actually unfilled, meaning we never could find someone in addition to sit in our schools. So if an emergency had happened, we were going to pull from one school to cover another. Nurses' daily sub-pay, I wanted to share with you. We have an LPN group and an RN group. Currently, the LPNs are earning $80 for the day, and our RNs are earning $100 a day. Oh, sorry, substitutes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The proposed is $120 a day for LPN subs and $200 a day for RN subs. We're currently paying an outsourced company, and when we pay for an LPN, it's $226 a day. For the RN, it costs the district $352 a day. If you look at our Hoover City School salary schedule, what we pay an LPN that comes into our district on step 1 is $124, and an RN $224. So we're really trying to find a way that we can remain competitive with our surrounding districts. In 2019, the LPN sub-range in our surrounding district, our over-the-mountain schools, they pay $144 to $200 for an LPN. For an RN, the sub-range is $125 to $368. We're trying to increase our sub-pool. 2 years ago, the sub-pool was actually 15. Now we're down to 6 for the upcoming school year for 2019-2020. And we would like to fill the positions, if this is approved, with some retired Hoover City School nurses. Any questions about nurses before I move forward? Okay. CNP employees, we have seen a reduction of CNP employees by attrition. So in 6 years, we've reduced that by 26 employees, meeting the required productivity index minimum of 16 meals per labor hour, and we were able to do that because of that attrition. Sub-hours are not included in labor hours, so I want to make that clear. So it has no effect on our pass-through or the meals per labor hour calculation. This would eliminate benefits paid by increasing our sub-pool, and 42 assignments this year were covered by district CNP supervisor. We also have seen an increase in absenteeism due to the increase in Tier 2 employees, and that's had a big impact on a lot of groups, not just our CNP program. So I wanted to share with you some of the CNP employee sub-pay. We're currently paying $61. We've proposed $80. That is the pay that we're paying our bus drivers now for a day's work. If you use the Kelly service, which is what most of our surrounding districts are using, it's $70 a day. And if you look at the CNP 6-hour workers, step 1, they receive $91 a day. So again, we want to remain competitive with our surrounding districts. We'd like to increase the sub-pool from what we have, an existing pool of 4. And we'd like to, again, fill those positions with retired Hoover City School CNP employees. Our custodians, we currently do not have a sub-pay schedule for our custodians, but I wanted to share some data with you before we move forward and made that request. In 2000-2001, we had 106 custodians, 10,296 students, and 13 schools. In 2018-2019, we have 107 custodians, 14,033 students, and 16 schools. So we have an additional 407,000 square footage for 3 new schools, and that does not include all of the renovations that we've recently done. There is some job sharing going on between schools and central office and operations to try to cut costs. We'd like to eliminate the benefits paid by initiating this sub-pay for custodians. We had 40 assignments this year that weren't covered by our district custodial specialist. And we also see an increase in absenteeism due to the increase in Tier 2 employees. So our proposal is an $80 daily sub-pay. Right now we're paying PeopleLink $108 to have someone come into our buildings when we do not have coverage. And Hoover City Schools Step 1 for an employee that comes into our district is paid $87 a day. So again, remaining competitive with surrounding districts, increasing that sub-pool from the existing pool of 4, and then filling that position with retired Hoover City School CNP employees.
Custodians.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That is correct. Yes, I'm sorry. I did not change that slide. That's my bad. Thank you.
Custodians.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So board members, we just, again, wanted to share with you sub-pay for those 3 categories of employees. Know that there's a lot here, know there's some digesting of that has to occur, and probably you'll have a number of questions. My thought is to put this before you now with the possibility of asking you to approve this at an upcoming board meeting to be effective October 1 with the budget year. So we have a little bit of time to look and study and review. I am supportive of the proposals and would like for us to be able to answer any questions you have so that perhaps we could get this moved forward effective for October 1. But we'll respect there'll be probably lots of questions.
For bus drivers, this may be Jeremy, for bus drivers, do they have to pay out of their pocket anything more to become certified to be a substitute or a bus driver, Jim?
Yes, sir. If they only have a standard driver's license, they still have to pay out of pocket to get a CDL,
So there's a different cost to a substitute bus driver that comes in the market. Not to diminish CMP, but there's not an out-of-pocket cost for them, right? Melinda?
They have to pay for a food handling certificate
Okay.
and proper attire.
Okay, just want to be sure apples to apples. Okay, you understand why I'm asking the question?
Yes, sir. Good questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And board members, that concludes our reports to you this evening.
Board, you might have anything to say? I will tell you, Mr. Kendrick could not be here. He is working for sure. He did call me individually, didn't talk to anybody else. It was a legal phone call, and just said he would have, once he saw the agenda on the salary increase 90 days out from October 1, was fully supportive of. I don't have to tell you that, but that was a conversation I had with him individually. So even though he's not here and his vote doesn't count, we would have a unanimous board supporting our employees in the decisions made tonight. So that's just, I think he deserves to hear that. Although he would have abstained because he has a relative in the school district, but his thoughts were 100% supportive.
And by the way, it's his birthday today.
It's his birthday.
So happy birthday to Mr.
You'll have to sing, you know.
He's not here.
Whatever.
Maybe he's watching.
We can sing to the camera.
We're ready to announce the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have, we have to have a special meeting August 1. Dr. Murphy, you can explain why, but August 1 at 10 o'clock, it will be Dr. Dodson at RC3. So, yes, Mr. Schultz?
Everything else going on.
Yeah.
Yes, with everything else going on, we're going to throw a board
Squeeze
meeting.
the board meeting in there. This is that time of the year where we want to make sure that all of our employees or all our candidates, applicants are employed, and so this is just a request to help us with any last-minute hires as we're approaching the start to school. It's something that we typically do, and we're kind of excited to find a corner somewhere at RC3 and on that very first official day to have a quick board meeting there also. So that's why we need to do that.
We're excited not only to be there for the opening, but to also conduct a business meeting, a core meeting of the board. So we're excited to be there. There's a lot of things going on that day, but we'll have the meeting, and it won't take that long, I don't think, but we're looking forward to it. Personnel meeting. August 13th at 5:30 is our next regularly scheduled board meeting, so we look forward to seeing you there. Thanks to everyone for coming. Board, anything else? We're adjourned. Thank you for being here.